The young pastor of the even younger church who writes 1 Peter asks what will become one of theology's greatest questions. To the young church, he writes, "Now, who will harm you if you are eager to do what is good?" He might as well have said, "Why do bad things happen to good people?" It's a perennial question, one that skeptics like to cite as a human attempt to deny the existence of God. It's also a question that has far more to do with the one who is asking it, and whatever situation they find themselves in, and incapable of seeing beyond than about the question themselves. It's a defense. We all have doubts and we all have questions, and from time to time our faith is stronger or shakier. We want to believe in goodness and that it will prevail. And yet for so many of us, it's hard to see the singular good tree amidst the forest of briars and thorns and poison vines that surround it. Who will harm you if you attempt to do good? And if we look really clearly and closely and maybe honestly, and maybe we don't want to say it in church, but if we look really clearly and deeply into that forest, we might be tempted to say, everyone will. And the pastor writing to 1 Peter's congregation writes the answer, nobody, which may also be true. Who would harm you if you attempt to do good? Somewhere between everyone and no one is likely where the answer lies. An answer that, again, has more to do with the one who is asking it and whatever situation they find themselves in, and incapable of seeing beyond for at least the moment. For what is true is that there is neither good nor evil. There is both good and evil. And so often they meet at the intersection of our lives. The writer we hear this morning goes on to talk about some of the ways you may protect yourself and your good works while others around you assail those very same good works that you thought were good. And here, the advice is to maintain a good conscience so that when you are maligned, those who abuse you for your good conduct will be ashamed. We're going to leave aside the punishment of others. The church has done that well for many centuries, and instead focus on what we can do ourselves here today. Just like the first question could have been phrased, "Why do bad things happen to good people?" The answer here could similarly be quoted as, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names or words can never hurt me." Both question and answer, both in 1 Peter's language then and in our more contemporary language today. And for anyone who is willing to grow up and to grow up in their faith, become ones that we can take straight to the heart. The epistle writer is saying that your good works, your good deeds, the good parts of your good relationships, well, they, like all good gifts, they give that we give. Well, to give a gift, it costs something, right? It costs us perhaps time or money, effort. It costs us our attention. Now, so often we get more than what we give, but at the outset, there is no denying that doing good, that being a tree of beauty in the midst of a wood of cruelty, well, it's not for nothing. And yes, it sometimes is too much. And this is not to say that doing good alone is too much. That might be just enough. But it is saying that when we are attacked or not seen or disbelieved or actively silenced, when we do the work of speaking and acting upon our truth that is good and from a place of goodness, well, that might be good enough, no matter what anyone else says. Here it is important for us to pull out some definitions of good. It's also Mother's Day, and we can remember the first rule our mothers taught us of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So let's say some nice things about good. My personal favorite is that good is not perfect. And too often perfect becomes the enemy of the good. This is Theology 101. This is the Genesis account of creation when goodness is the very first thing that God sees. Genesis 1 tells us that the earth was a formless void. Nothing to see here. Move right along. And God did. God was a spirit, like a breath, that hovered over waters and moved, but had no form. And right there, God said, "Let there be light." And it turns out that even God needs light to be able to see what is good. Let there be light. Siri, turn on the lights. Alexa, bedroom lights to good morning. Light switches for those, who still use them. And light happens. And for the first time, the verb to see is recorded in Scripture. It's not until the lights are turned on until God can see. The first thing God does in Scripture, the first verb that follows the words of creation, is that God sees. And what does God see? God sees the light and says it's good. And from that light, God saw the shapeless form of the world that God would create like a sculptor seeing a rock for the David or the Pieta or a lion ready to emerge. God saw a formless void as something possible and good, not perfect. This is a daily theological reminder that nothing is perfect except for God. So you all can stop trying. Good is good enough. A second thing to think about with good here this morning is that good is not easy. And this is Life 101. This is something we adults can talk about while the kids are safely off at Sunday school because, well, the older we get, the harder good can be. Good is justice. Good is what is right. Good is doing the hardest thing we don't want to do, but knowing it is the right thing to do. Here I stand, so help me, God, I can do no other. I'm doing this for your own good. I don't want to do this. But what else can I do? Good is hard. And bringing this to the epistle writer today, we do not need to have a perfect conscience, nor a good conscience, nor an easy conscience. We can have simply a good one. In all of the complexity that is there, it might be good enough. Now, about this conscience, we here can turn to psychology for a third definition of good, and this one is rather perfect for today. In the 1950s, there was a pivotal moment in our theory of mind about human development and the role of what is good. In 1953, a British pediatrician and psychoanalyst, who many of you may know, by the name of Donald Winnicott, coined the term the good enough mother. This came in a paper entitled Transitional Objects and Transitional Phenomena, that is largely about the permanence of change, of if you don't like something, don't worry, it will change. He's British. He wasn't just talking about the weather. He's talking about all of us and our growth. And what he's talking about in this paper is the transitions of our lives and how we handle them. Do we handle them with grace and acceptance, knowing that we're getting older and grayer and rounder, or do we fight them and resist them? Are we able to change, or do we want to stay fixed? And in this paper, Winnicott describes the function of the mother, which we can now also say is any primary caregiver of any gender or any biological relationship to the child. But that the primary relationship is one that is twofold and sequential. First, the good enough mother initially takes care of providing a holding environment that contains all of the child's basic needs: food, water, safety, contact. Being seen to take it to the Genesis account and keeping that child secure. And then, over time, as the infant grows into a toddler and then into a child and then terror of terrors into adolescence, that same good enough mother who provided that good enough container gradually begins to fail to meet the child's every need. This is not the mother's fault. And this is a good thing, a very healthy thing. Failure, as we all know, is essential to the learning process. It helps us to try again. We get down, we pick ourselves up, we try again. Failure is also essential to good because it allows us to repair. And here I'm going to bring another psychological milestone, which is the process of rupture and repair. This is psychology speak for confession and forgiveness. In another psychological milestone, one later introduced by the American psychologist Edward Tronick, in 1989, Tronick ran a famous set of experiments and published his results based on the miscommunication between parents and children, between caregivers and infants, by slowing down photographs, videos into stills of the interaction between a child and its parent when the child has a need. And what he sees in this slowing down of something that happens in the blink of an eye is the process of rupture and repair, that when there is a breach, and there are a million breaches, it is not the depth of the breach, it is the ability to repair that creates grace and bond and trust. It is the reestablishing of trust again and again that becomes the relationship for which all relationships are based. This pattern of rupture and repair, a breach, a miscommunication, a misunderstanding, a major catastrophic failure, a little oops, or a, here, drink this, I have something I need to tell you, followed by the ability of the offending one to take ownership of what they have done, to acknowledge what went wrong, and to perhaps even offer an apology. This is the act of confession and forgiveness that the church assures us. This is what Jesus assures us of. This is what we practice every time we gather, that we are good enough, not perfect. We are not perfect, but we're damn good. We are not easy. We are perfectly good. We regularly experience breaches in all the ways of our life, in all of our relationships, in each of our actions, at work, at home, on the way from work to home, on the subway, going down the subway stairs, at the supermarket, wherever we experience these breaches. We mess up all the time, or maybe I'm just talking about me, but I mess up all the time. And each time we do, we have an opportunity to grow, to repair. Easter season that it is, to resurrect. Now, the pastor who wrote our epistle this morning says we can do so by, quote, accounting for the hope that is in you, and with gentleness and respect. And I love this term. In other words, gentleness and respect, you did fine. And your fine is good. And it may even be great. It needn't be perfect. It's good. You don't need it to be perfect. Nor do you need to be perfect. Nor does even your hope need to be perfect. So be gentle with yourselves, beloved. Be gentle and have respect. And foster your goodness and know that this is enough. If good was good enough for God, and what God created, then parents, put down your child's science project or their college essay. Stop tracking their community service hours. They're doing good enough. If good was good enough for God, who created all of us, then for all of you who, like me, often get swept under the riptide of an email inbox or leave the office at the end of the day only to reopen a computer later at home, or who have said the words, I know, but if I don't do it, who will? You don't have to raise your hands. I know you've said this. Maybe just stop. Maybe just stop is the modern day equivalent of be gentle and have respect. It's not going to be perfect, but maybe good can be perfect too, and how glorious that could be. Now, the pastor who wrote the letter we call 1 Peter was a pretty good one in my book, one from whom I learned from and enjoyed talking to in my mind all the time. This passage that we heard this morning is one that has months of Sundays worth of sermons in it. He or she is good enough, maybe even great, at writing to her church. And it is not because of how hard they worked or how many letters or emails they wrote or whatever else they were doing. They were good enough because, well, that's what God made them to be. And just like God made you and your mother and all of us good enough, God still makes good enough. Later, Jesus says, "If you love me, you will keep my instructions, and I will send you an aid, a helper, a friend, an advocate, who will be with you forever." A helper, a friend, an advocate, who will be with you forever. In this world and in the next, from creation to creation, from Alpha to Omega, I will send you a helper, a friend, an advocate, a mother, who will be with you forever. Each of you, all of us. There is one who is with us forever, who will not fail, who is more than good, who is indeed perfect, but never uses that word or ascribes that virtue or demands that instruction or asks any of us to be perfect, simply to be good. If you think deep down in the stillness of this beautiful day, you know what that is. Your gut knows what it is. Your mind wants to squelch it out with all sorts of questions, but your gut knows. Your heart does too. It courses through your veins. It is a helper, a friend, an advocate who will be with you forever. And for that, let us say thanks for good. And thank God we don't have to be perfect. Good is enough for today and more than enough for God.